evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Welcome to our Board of Education business meeting for March 14th, 2024. Before I do move forward with the meeting, I just want to make a quick announcement that there may be a probability that we may have to go to the basement due to the severe weather. So just want to warn everybody if we do ask you to disperse to the basement area. So now, board members, I'm looking for a motion to excuse.
I'd like to make a motion to excuse Miss Enriquez Pemblack and Mr. Robbie Eaton and Miss Penny DeGarden.
Second.
Thank you. Mrs. Lonis?
Yes, this is going to be easy voting tonight.
Dr. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Alvin Wilson?
Yes.
And I will vote yes.
Move we adopt the agenda as presented.
Second?
Mrs. Lonis?
Yes.
Dr. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Alvin Wilson?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. We will move on to 1.4, our Pledge of Allegiance. We have School of the Month here to help lead our students from Husky Academy.
Come back with us and lead us in the pledge.
Come back here.
Face that. Whenever.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job.
Unconsciously. I haven't done that in a while.
Aiden, good job.
Thanks.
All right. We'll move to 1.5, our School of the Month, the Husky Academy. Who I would like to come up?
I'm going to start and then bring some people to join. But Willie, if you would join me up here, that would be great. And I'm like, I have on glasses and still can't see. That's a problem. So I'm going to watch this screen here. All right, so I'm Tabonda Palmer Harvey. I'm the Director of Alternative Education in the Ritenour School District and at Husky Academy. I'm going to introduce Willie shortly. Our vision at Ritenour School District, in partnership with parents and community, will develop leaders recognized for academic excellence and produce graduates who will become productive citizens and lead lives of personal integrity and fulfillment. Our mission of the Ritenour School District is to ensure learning occurs in a supportive environment that enables every student to think critically, solve problems, and develop the knowledge and skills necessary for success in our diverse global society. And for this particular presentation from the equity statement that we have, we will create an anti-bias, anti-racist system by doing the following to interrupt the cycle of oppression. For this one, encourage the Ritenour community to speak up, ask questions, learn more, and build bridges. So on today's agenda, we're going to be celebrating Officer Preston first, and then we're going to talk to you guys about our parent university and the things that we're doing with parents at Husky Academy, and then I'll talk to you a little bit more about our motto at Husky Academy that we just developed, learn, grow, and become. All right, so I'd like to introduce to you guys 7th grader Willie Carter, and he is here with his mom, Miss Breeden, and also his brother Fred, and he would like to share some remarks about Officer Preston.
All right, so Officer Preston, he's a really nice guy, and he's a really nice guy. And when my dad was having troubles with his heart, he'd always check up on me, and always ask me how I was doing and stuff. And I've known him for like 2 years now, and he's very nice and a good person.
And we appreciate having Officer Preston at Husky Academy, but he's also being recognized because he received Officer of the Year by the Breckenridge Hills Police Department. And so I'd like for Officer Preston to join us, and he is with us with his wife Michelle, so she can come up with him, if that would be great. And Chief Scott Robinson is with us tonight, and Assistant Chief Randy Von Clote, is that correct? All right, got it right. If you guys would come on up, that would be great to be. Officer Preston, we just want to give you this certificate of recognition for everything that you do, not just at Husky Academy, but for the Ritenour School District and also in the community. So if everybody could give him a round of applause. Officer Preston, would you like to share a few words? I know, I didn't tell you.
I'd like to thank these two guys, because I wouldn't be here without them. You know, I appreciate you nominating me for this. And
Absolutely. Officer Preston, can you talk a little bit about your work at Husky Academy each day, please?
Well, basically, I sit at the front desk and let people in. But I'm also there to make sure all the students and staff are safe, make sure the school district is safe. I'm also there for the students. If they have any problems, they can always come to me at any point in time. I really enjoy working there. A lot of good kids.
And I'd like to add too, all of the student incentives that we have right now at Husky Academy, Officer Preston has gone out himself to get those for students. So whether it's Raising Cane's or Dairy Queen or Urban Air, all of that comes into our school by Officer Preston. So he is a part of our Husky Academy family.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, good job, Willie. Absolutely, congratulations. All right, so if I can have Ms. Conley come on up with Aiden. Aiden is a 6th grader at Husky Academy. If I can have Ms. Robinson come on up. Ms. Robinson has a 10th grader at Ritenour High School. And Ms. Washington, if she would join us as well. And her son is Armand. And he's an 8th grader. Come on up, Armand. He's an 8th grader and attends Husky Academy as well. So we're going to talk to you about our parent university that we started this year at Husky Academy. We have had 3 sessions of parent learning where there's dinner and dialogue and different topics when we invite the parents to come in, but also to bring their child with them so they can learn together. And it has been phenomenal. It's been great to break bread with the families and have them come into the space. And I've also been able to learn with them as well, and that's been a treat also. And so I've asked for the parents to speak on a couple of things. I've asked for them to talk about why they decided to attend and some things that they learned through Parent University and why they feel like it's something that we should continue to do. And then the students, I asked them to talk about maybe something they learned. Now sometimes the students come because they're made to come. And so just what they learn when they're there, and then why they feel like it's important to learn with their parent. And so I'm going to start with Ms. Conley and Aiden.
So Aiden was forced to go there. And at the beginning, I really didn't want him going there. I was like really in my feelings about it because I didn't know what to expect. But since he's been there, he's been doing way better. The staff, they make you feel welcome. Because when I first got there and I did a meeting with her, I kind of had attitude. But as I kept talking to her, she made me feel welcome, and then it kind of like my attitude too just disappeared. So, and I felt comfortable with her. And her and the other lady, they came out yesterday.
Dr. Dorsey.
Yeah. Like, he had problems, so they kind of said they help you, they help and they take their time with the students, and I like that. I kind of really want him to stay there because I think it's kind of good for him in a way, but I know he don't want to stay. And then I like the fact how they have the meetings, and then like parents like me, I have younger kids, they were able to attend, and they had somebody to watch them and keep them company, so that was a plus for me too. And in the meeting, I think the meetings are good because you can learn from other parents, and then you can learn from the staff as well because they tell you about how they do with their kids. So I think the Husky Academy is a good thing.
First question is, what did you learn at the Parent University?
Okay, what did I learn is that it was a presentation about how you're addicted to your phone, and I realized that I was addicted to my phone, and so that helped me kind of get outside more and play basketball instead of just being in my room all day, and so that helped me get outside.
And why do you think it's important for you to be able to learn with your mom, like you guys learn together?
So we can be on the same page about stuff more, and so we don't argue a lot more.
Awesome.
So that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Again, Ms. Robinson has a daughter, Layla, at the high school. She's in 10th grade.
Yeah, she just returned from Husky. I like Parent Academy because I know it's traumas out there, but I didn't know to like what extent they were and how adverse they affect your life growing up. And through the first one that I went to, there was learning the adverse childhood traumas, experiences, all the different categories, how it affects you, and if you have like 4 or more, how traumatic it could be if you don't get help later on in life. I'm kind of starting to see some of those. And it just opened my eyes a lot more to things that can negatively affect kids that you don't know about. And if they don't speak about it, you don't know about it, you don't know how to deal with it either. So it just helped us that way.
Thank you for sharing. And then we have Ms. Washington and her son Armand, who's an 8th grader in Hague Middle School.
The meeting that we went to, I decided to go because at that time I was having issues with this boy here. He wouldn't listen for nothing. Like he was just, I basically was just a friend to him, and it was just frustrating me. I didn't know what else to do. Next thing you know, I get a text from Ms. Harvey inviting us to go. So I'm like, hey, it couldn't hurt. When I got there, I felt that, and I saw that it wasn't just me. Parents, we tend to like lose it, and we feel like we're just in it by ourselves, but come to find out, all of us is going through the same thing, so that actually helps. And that, I think the topic was about the brain. So knowing how the teenage brain works, it put a lot of stuff in perspective. So I actually feel like Husky Academy, it did a lot of justice for me and him, our relationship. So
thank you so much. Armand, what is something that you learned at Parent University?
I learned like you gotta take your time. Cause I am her firstborn, so it's like as we was growing up together, it was like we were learning. She was learning how to take care of me. And I was like, it was kind of hard for her. So I had to learn like it's different ways to go about things, so we don't bump heads. That's what we did.
Why is it important to be able to learn with your mom?
Because like if we're not on the same page, we're gonna bump heads with that. So it's like if we're learning the same thing, we're gonna be on the same page. I guess.
do things together.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So our motto that we created at Husky Academy is learn, grow, and become. And it was actually something that Nina Hamilton she's a social worker of ACE. She is the one that created it, and our staff and our students voted for it. So we had 2 or 3 options, and they voted for this. And I think it's important, and this is an example of it, that it's not just the students that are learning, growing, and becoming. But staff, we're also learning, growing, and becoming, along with our parents, with our community partners. And so we're hoping that we can continue to learn, grow, and become with our parents and partner with them, as it does take a village to do this work. Any questions? And thank you.
Thank you for all of
Any questions?
No questions, but just most definitely want to thank you and your team for all the hard work. Thank the parents and the students for all of their work, hard work, and commitment to growing, learning, and becoming. The significance, I think, of what you all said was like doing this together so we can all be on the same page. That's what relationships are about in life. And so I commend you all for that work that you're doing. Keep up that great job. Keep up a great job.
Thank you, guys.
Is there anyone that did not get a chance to stand and be recognized from Husky Academy? Because we want to make sure we recognize all of our scholars and their family members that are here to support them. So if everybody from Husky Academy could stand to be recognized. Any Husky Academy affiliate? Thank you all so much. We are going to move on in our agenda to 1.6. I'd like to report that the Board of Education met in closed session on February 15th, 2024, and on March 7th, 2024 for discussion of personnel agenda items. We will move forward to 1.7, public comments. We did not receive any public comments, so we will move on to the President's report, 2.1.
And he actually, you did good.
So, Kavion Brandon is an RHS graduate who attended Husky Academy. We often talk about the incredible grit and perseverance that many of our students in Ritenour show. Tonight, I am excited to introduce to you a student who has worked very hard to overcome the odds and completed the requirements to graduate from Ritenour. It is my honor to welcome Kavion Brandon, who most recently attended Husky Academy, which we did just talk about. It is important to note that Kavion elected to attend Husky Academy because he knew that that was the educational environment that he needed to keep him focused on track to graduate. So we're glad to have you here with us tonight, Kavion. Would you like to share a couple words?
Yes, ma'am. How you doing?
How are you?
Good. My name is Kavion. I was a student athlete, all high school. My junior year, I was looking more into football, and I kind of like slowed down on basketball because I seen football was better for me, and I was kind of better at football. So I was focusing on football, so I ain't play basketball my junior year because I went to football. I started going to football camps, and like I started doing football training and stuff like that. So and then we had some plumbing problems like with our house, so we was gonna move, but I ended up staying in the district because I told my mom, I'm like, I don't want to leave Ritenour because I was comfortable with Husky because when I went to Husky second semester my junior year, I was passing classes and knocking out classes way easier than high school because in high school I was getting distracted and like I knew I get distracted way easier. If anything happened, I don't want to be behind at last second my senior year and like have to retake anything and not be on time to graduate. So I'm like, all right, senior year, I'm gonna go to see. I was planning on going to Husky second semester because I feel like if I fail and like self-paced, like I went at home and I ain't did nothing. I opened my computer, just knocked out 20% easy, and my senior year came. I'm like, I'm more comfortable here, so like I'm finna just start off. No, I was playing sports too, so like I'm like, could I play sports as I'm at Husky? But she was like, yeah, we can make that work for you because I was way comfortable at Husky. So I'm like, all right, cool, that's better for me. And I was working too at the same time on top of playing basketball and football. So as in, like, I used to go to practice at like 6 o'clock and go straight to work. And see, I used to work at I worked at Burger King on the Rock Road. And my girlfriend stayed off the Rock Road, and my father, he stayed off Page. So I was kind of going from house to house. So like, it was hard from like, it was hard going to school. I mean, it was hard for going to work from his house, but it was easier coming from school to her house. So I was bouncing back and forth. But like, his house was closer to Husky, but her job was closer to work. So like, I used to go to his house, to school, to practice, and then get on the bus to go to work. And it's just like, but like, I had like it was pushing because like, it was like, I knew for a fact that like, it was like, wasn't nobody around me to really push me further. So I'm like, I gotta push myself because I ain't finna let myself fall. So I'm like, I'm finna just keep going. And then as I started living with my girlfriend more, she ended up getting pregnant. So I'm like, all right, I got something to grind for. I got something to push for. So I'm like, all right, cool. I end up stop playing basketball because I started looking into more of my construction. My construction, that was more like my plan B after sports. I was playing sports all my life, but I always made sure I had a plan B if anything went left with sports. So I started looking more into my construction. So I'm like, that's what I was gonna look for. I'm still 17, so I can't really do nothing until I'm 18. So I'm like, school, that's something I feel like that's just sitting. So let me get it out the way because I ain't doing nothing else. So I'm gonna graduate school. I got my permit. I'm gonna get my license, and after that, I'm looking to my construction and focus on my career goals.
I'd like to say something about him, because he didn't give himself enough credit. And he is truly, it sounds going to make me cry because I'm so proud of you. A success story because unfortunately there was some tough times, not just in school but in the community. And we always work through those. He has a mom who always advocated for him, helped him, encouraged him to get back into school. And every time I turned around, he would come back, we would get him back in there, and then something would happen, right? And he sat down with Dr. Kilbride and he said, you know, I think the best thing for me to keep going on this path is to go over to Husky because I'm going to get too distracted if I go back to the high school. And he's an early graduate, and he's going to be a great dad, and we should be so proud of him for his perseverance and the fact that he overcame quite a bit. So we are all so proud of you, because not everybody could do that.
Thank you, Kavion, for coming and share your story with us tonight. Just to hear your perseverance and your grit should be encouraging to others that are in this space. So please keep doing that great work and keep sharing your story because there's value in that.
Thank you.
That concludes the president's report.
Can we thank Mom too?
Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. Mom, family, everybody stand up so we can recognize you and thank you for all of your support. Thank you all.
Awesome.
Thank you for the reminder, Jennifer. All right, we will move on to 2.2, our superintendent's report.
Thank you. So board members, March is School Board Recognition Month through Missouri School Boards Association. During the month of March, communities across the state, the 523 public school districts in the state of Missouri are honoring board members for their dedicated service on their local boards of education. Board members, tonight is my honor to recognize and personally thank each of you for the service that you place above self to the Ritenour School District community and all 6,450 students. This Ritenour community benefits every single day from your dedication and your hours devoted to this board work. Board members receive no compensation for their efforts. The goal of Board Member Recognition Month is to deepen awareness and build understanding of the function of elected board members, the role that they play in providing leadership for schools and for communities. citizens who serve students and represent their communities, school board members face sometimes complex and often demanding challenges. Board members, I'm honored to be partnered with you in serving this community and serving every student. And I've got a certificate for each of you from MSBA to recognize your efforts. The certificates from MSBA recognize each of you for your dedicated leadership in public education and for your continuing service to the children of this community. Thank you, board members.
Thank you.
Thank you. I got a frame waiting for it.
How many do you have?
I got a whole wall.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you. We will move on to 2.3, our student representative report. Ms. Hopeful.
So there hasn't been a lot going on at the school, negative wise. There's been, I think most people have been we're ready to get to spring break. But today was the 5th grade extravaganza, and we had all the 5th graders from the elementary schools come and see the music department. So each of the music department performed a piece, and they were, oh my gosh, they were so cute. They were so cute, and they were clapping for every single thing, and they were great audience members. And I think they're really excited to join the music department. There's also, the band will be getting new uniforms for marching band. I'm really excited about that. And what she brought in she got a sample recently and she showed it, and everyone was really wowed by it. We're really excited for that in the band. And then lastly, I would like to say that the spring musical Aida, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, is April 17th through the 20th, and should be in the evening, and I can get you more details if you want. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Is that April 17th on the board calendar? I would like more details. Okay. Thank you. We will move on to 2.4, our legislative advocacy committee report.
So board members, this past Friday, we held our first in-person, actually our first LAC meeting of the year. The first meeting was canceled due to inclement weather. We're shifting board members away from me playing a facilitation role to the LAC being a community facilitated role. So I'm thankful to Lisa and to Vanessa for agreeing to facilitate the LAC meetings because the voice is from community members and the voice is from elected officials. And board members fit both of those criteria. So thankful for Lisa and Vanessa for their skilled facilitation of the meeting because legislators, they want to hear from their constituents, and we'll make sure that that is what the LAC is doing. Presentation that I'm sharing with you now is the presentation that was shared this past Friday. Fred, if you want to move on to the next session or the next slide. So did some connecting on the norms for the committee, outlining what does and what does not work for the committee, touch base on that, and we'll continue to refine norms to make sure that the meetings are of value to the members and that there's action that is coming from the meetings. Skipping past the next slide, Fred, we had Scott Kimball, who is the Director of Advocacy for the Missouri Association of School Administrators. Going back to last year, Scott has been a part of each of the meetings, does very skilled, is very embedded in Jefferson City and shares a lot of great content. Scott was with us this past Friday, and Scott has committed to being with us at the next LAC meeting, which is going to be at the end of session in May. One additional change that we are making is focusing more on action from the LAC and asking committee members to commit to a next step. Is it writing your legislator? Is it connecting with neighbors for conversations? Is it attending the next LAC meeting? And then board members, this last piece, this is a reminder, the MSBA Lobby Day in Jefferson City is on Tuesday, April 9th. We shared this information also with the LAC because hopefully, in addition to board members, we're able to get some members of the LAC to travel with us to be a part of the event. Next slide. So we would be meeting here about 6 in the morning so that we can make our way to Jefferson City through the event. We would participate in during the day. We would return somewhere around 4 p.m. back to the admin center. And we shared DeQuinda's contact information with the LAC board members. If you're able to attend, we would ask that you would RSVP to DeQuinda as well. The next LAC meeting is on the 24th of May. That was based on Scott's availability. The last day of session is the 17th of May. And there's been some significant updates this week, specifically Senate Bill 799, which will turn into an educational omnibus bill this year. There has been the expansion of the tax credits from $50 to $75 million of total impact, and also the expansion of family income to allow families to participate in the educational savings account program has grown up to combined family income of no more than $166,500. So that is a pretty large window for families to participate in educational savings accounts or empowerment scholarships, which are vouchers that can be used to attend private or private parochial schools. So this bill made it through the Senate. Tuesday was perfected today and will be heading over to the House for debate and potential passage. There's a bit of a, as Scott had shared, there's two different interests. The interest from the House is open enrollment. And if you remember, the House passed an open enrollment bill that's now moving to the Senate. The Senate's interest is expansion of charters and vouchers. And the Senate passed that bill out, and now it's headed to the state. So the way this will work is there will be some combination of open enrollment, expansion of vouchers, and potential charter schools that will get brought together in an omnibus bill and potentially passed by the end of session. Final thing to share on that, it was expected that the expansion of charter schools into St. Louis County and St. Charles County was going to occur. That did not occur in this Senate Bill 799, but rather charter schools are able to open in Boone County, which is where Columbia, Missouri is located. That's in the Senate version of the bill that passed out, which will then be going on to the House for further debate. So definitely a time to pay close attention to educational legislation here in Missouri.
And just out of curiosity, in all those bills, there's nothing that states anything about them being held accountable to standards, even though they would be getting this money.
So the one piece around accountability had to do with posting more information about the Empowerment Scholarship Program out on websites. So
but
just
not the schools that the money would be going to.
not the performance of the schools that the money would be going to. No, there's no information about that. Any other questions, board members?
Just saying about as the state moves toward competency-based learning, and we're developing all these standards and such, how then, I mean, that's a step farther away from any accountability, because they as a private school would then have to also build these standards and change the methodology with which they approach education.
Yeah, so the belief is that competition is going to improve student performance, that the potential for losing students would increase accountability and performance of districts. Private schools, and I have some experience with private schools from other parts of my family, their perspective is that the more involved with public dollars that they become, the more expectation of public accountability and public monitoring, and that is not something that they specifically are interested in. The whole purpose of private schools from their perspective is to be a different option, not the same.
I will say most definitely there was a theme in the room about the getting involved from individuals that were a part of the LAC discussion. The mayor of Edmondson said something that kind of really resonated with me. He said silence is very loud. So I would say if we are concerned, we are going to have to start speaking up, calling our representatives and letting them know the direct impact of what these bills will have on our district, on our students, on our community, because the communities that we have and the schools that we have now will not be the same when these bills pass, when and if these bills pass. There will be a direct impact. So I think it's what he said. I'm like, wow, silence is very loud. Just something to take into consideration.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Brown.
Thank you.
We will move on to 2.5, MSBA and SBA report.
So I think the delegate and I think her name is Becca, both not here. So I think if you don't mind, we'll just go ahead and roll the
Play the video.
Play the video.
Sounds good.
Missouri School Boards Association's board report. We begin with a look at the importance of advocacy on the state level. It's critical that board members and superintendents communicate frequently with state legislators about the impact of proposed legislation in your school district. MSBA's spring meeting series focused on advocacy starts with the spring virtual meeting held on March 13th. As part of the spring meeting series, MSBA will host live lunch and learn virtual advocacy programs on the 15th and 22nd of March and a final meeting on April 5th. MSBA Director of Outreach, Caitlin Whaley, says that the lunch and learn meetings are important lead-ins to Advocacy Day.
I think any time that we can provide you with some updates on policy and just general happenings as it relates to public education, it's going to help prepare you for Advocacy Day. So we've got 3 wonderful sessions on those lunch and learns. We're going to hear from the current Commissioner of Education, Margie Van Dieven, and we're also going to hear from our Finance Director, Linda, about some things happening with the financial cliff. And then we'll also have a prep session about specifically Advocacy Day with Grant, so we can really get you as prepared and informed as possible going into that Advocacy Day.
And make plans now to visit Jefferson City for Advocacy Day on April 9th. Programming begins at the Mill Bottom in Jefferson City at 9:30 a.m. and concludes at the Missouri State Capitol, where you can visit your legislator, attend the rest of the program, and check out the student showcase. As always, we urge you to stay in contact with your legislator, not only during Advocacy Day, but during the entire legislative session. Caitlin says it's important to communicate to them the impact legislation will have on your school district.
School board members are really that local voice for public education. So while we are so happy to welcome our school board members to Jefferson City for Advocacy Day, really every day is Advocacy Day for school board members. You are in your community, you're meeting with not only legislators, but local leaders, local thought leaders, and you are the voice for the value of public education and what need public education bills in your community. And here at MSBA, we want to make sure that we're giving you the tools and the information that you need to be a strong voice for public education.
As the legislative session progresses, we will keep you updated on developments through our Legislative Voice newsletter sent to members via email each Friday during the session, through critical issue alerts and periodic webinars. The State of Missouri's Department of Public Safety is offering another school safety improvement program for fiscal year 24, expiring June 1st of this year. The fiscal year 24 program funding provides public school districts that did not participate in last year's funding program with 1 year at no cost access to MSBA's online emergency operations plan development tool, MOEOP. Any Missouri public school district not yet using the MOEOP tool should take advantage of this limited time offer. John McDonald, the Chief Operating Officer of MSBA's Center for Education Safety, says that it's more important than ever to have a good emergency operations plan.
I responded to and managed school threats and emergencies for the past 16 years. And what I know to be true is that the school threats of today are more complicated than ever before. And the very best school safety, prevention, preparedness, response, and recovery begins with a robust emergency operation plan. At CES, we believe strongly, like all of you, in the duty to protect our students and staff. And it was with this in mind that we created the web-based Missouri Emergency Operation Plan tool, also known as MOEOP, that 247 districts across the state have been using for the past year. The MOEOP tool, with your input, will provide you with a safe and secure web-based all-hazard school emergency operation plan.
Visit the MSBA website for more information on how to register for your district's free MOEOP tool. And last but certainly not least, it's March, which means it's School Board Recognition Month. All of us at MSBA sincerely want to thank each and every one of you for all that you do. Your hard work and dedication to your schools and communities are appreciated, and your commitment to all students does not go unnoticed. Visit the MSBA website for materials to help celebrate. So with that, thanks for allowing us to have some time at your board meeting, and we'll see you in April for the next MSBA Board Report.
So just a reminder, also, Joquinda, thank you for the reminder to have everybody do their update if they haven't done it. And then also we have our NSBA trip coming up. So we will be learning a lot when we're down there, and excited to bring that back to the school district. And that's it.
Thank you. Thank you for stepping in, Jeffrey.
Sure, no problem.
We will move on to 2.6, Special School District Report.
Good evening.
Good evening,
How is
Tucker.
everybody there? Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, the first thing I wanted to do before we move into the SSD service highlight is that I did want to mention that we did have Ms. Joanne Suda put in as our board director. She was elected to the SSD Board of Education on March 2024 and represents our sub-district 6, which includes and Houston. A master from University of Missouri St. Louis work in science education from WashU and has a lifelong certification in early education pre-K to 3. So I'm very proud to announce that she will be representing us. And now I would like to introduce Nathan Dwyer, our SSD coordinator, and Abby Wallace, SSD teacher, for their presentation for SSD service highlight at RHS.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Nathan Dwyer. I'm the SSD coordinator at Ritenour High School. Appreciate the time this evening, it's not today anymore, to talk a little bit about some of the items, the services we provide at the high school. And with me is one of our classroom teachers, Miss Abby Wallace.
Hi. Good evening.
Thank you, guys. Next slide. Oh, we.
Oh, yeah, hey.
Some of the supports that we have in place are through our code talk classes and our core academic areas, as well as our independent studies, also in the core academic areas. We also have functional skills program, which serves our high need students. And we have 4 teachers supporting that program, as well as our Teen Connect program, which is our social emotional learning program that we have currently tiered out into 3 different levels of services. One for direct instruction, working with students on those skills for emotional regulation, peer conflict, communication skills. We also have our Ritenour Rebound program, which is a credit recovery program that we recently put in place, but I guess a little over a year and a half ago at this point. And then a new addition, Ritenour Resource, which is kind of that pull-out model that we're trying to implement within the high school as well, really just to give a wide array of service options for our students, to make sure we're meeting every one of them where they are. In addition to that, we also have our CBVI program, our community-based vocational instruction program, that supports our students in job skills, job readiness skills, and hopefully linking that directly to employment as well. We'll talk a little bit more about that.
Right, so our CBVI program consists of a couple of different locations. We have in building for some of our Tier 1 students, We have 3 right now off-campus community-based learning sites that we work with. So starting with our in-building program, it's kind of our starting block. When we get freshmen into the functional skills program, they begin there so we can assess their skills level. We complete jobs within the classroom and throughout the building. We are partnered with a lot of the gen ed programs that we have. We do laundry, washing, drying, folding for a couple of different programs. Our students run a coffee cart, a breakfast cart, and a snack cart throughout the day. So they take orders from teachers, they fill the orders, they do the delivery to work on customer service. A lot of kids will use their assistive communication devices. We have things programmed into their talkers to help them practice using their voices. They do various cleaning throughout the building. They do the counselor's office, the library, welcome center, as well as sometimes we'll have teacher requests if they've done something, an activity that day they need help with. And we have an instructional distribution center. So we house a lot of the resources that teachers need, and they can place an order through a form. The kids then get the form, fill the order, package it up, and send it out to be delivered.
Fun photos.
A couple pictures of our coffee cart going out and about. Our laundry project and some classroom cleaning. Our community-based programs are more of our tier 2 and tier 3. So we use SSD transportation. We, like I said, have 3 off-campus sites right now. The YMCA is our tier 2. They do a lot of kind of cleaning and just getting used to being out in the community, getting used to working with the schedule, cleaning mats, equipment, things like that, learning how to greet customers and just be a part of the community. At the Goodwill, that's kind of a little bit of a step up. They go through and they actually will, when they arrive, they get a job for the day. They'll either be pulling hangers, sorting out tags, rehanging clothes, doing cleaning, inventory, things like that. Schnucks is our highest tier that we have right now. We've recently started letting the students bag groceries to get that skill in there and work a little bit more with the customers. They work on greeting guests, they clean, stock, pull things forward, at times help give directions, help people find the items that they're looking for. With Schnucks, there is a possibility, and we've actually had a few students get hired on at the end of their senior year, and a few that are still working there now. It's always fun to go over and see them when we're working with the kids. So there's a few of our kids out at, that's YMCA and Goodwill. Schnucks and another Goodwill. So in addition to that, we're collaborating a lot with the general education population. Our botany class has helped us to create a garden out back. So some of our tier 1 students are out there learning just some essential skills, picking vegetables, watering, weeding, things like that. We every quarter have been doing a fundraiser lunch for the staff. So they'll send out the order form. We make the grocery lists, go over. We've shown them how to like pick out good produce, things like that. And then they help us, we kind of break them into groups and they learn different cooking skills, and then they serve the teachers as they come through. Special Olympics, both attending the events, and then we have the one we host every year, the track and field, which is going to be April 25th. We are this year new is identified as a unified championship school. It's based around creating a sense of community between the special education and the general education population. So there's 3 factors that we had to meet in order to be qualified as a champion school. We participated in a community event. So at the homecoming assembly, our students got out to talk about kind of what they're doing and how they're involved in the school and opportunities that were available for the general education population to join us. We did a unified sporting event. So instead of going through the buddy system for Special Olympics, when we went to the bowling event, they were each paired with a Ritenour student for both the practice and the event to help them through that. And then we are doing special outings. We're actually in a couple weeks here going to go to a Cardinals game with our buddies. We have people who come and work with us during their pack time and help with our community and building programs in some of our classes and participate in our adaptive PE class. Some more pictures of some of that stuff. Luncheon, gardening. We're looking to expand in the future, so we actually had a meeting this morning with Deanna Hill, for the Director of Child Nutrition Services. We're looking to add a out of building but still in district site with the kids, helping prepare and serve lunches at either the middle school or elementary schools. We're looking for a few other tier 3 sites where students who are at the level of employability can kind of work their senior year and get hired on and just go ahead and jump right into employment after they graduate. And we are looking at growing our unified programs, looking at maybe potentially some classes, and doing a lot more community involvement.
That tier 3 site piece is a really important focus for us because we find it so important for our students to be linked to employment directly after high school. You know, Special School District does offer additional training opportunities past graduation. But what we have found with a number of our students who participate in that program is they're in the program for a couple of months, they do the initial walkthroughs, they go through the learning process of the building and the job itself, and then obtain that position or position within that facility rather quickly, which is great. It means we're doing our job, we're getting our students trained up. But the goal behind that is that a necessary step if we're able to do something in-house where we can support our students and get them directly linked to a position right after graduation. Questions?
That's awesome.
Thanks so much for your time.
This is great.
Thank you.
Moving on to our business items. 3.1, our custodial contract update.
Evening.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
So tonight, I wish I could have had my entire team here, but two of them, Roger Robles, who is the Ritenour evening supervisor. He was last year's Employee of the Year. He's out in the district, making sure that the buildings are clean. And then, of course, our evening supervisor for HES, his name is Armez Coulter. He's also out making sure that the buildings are getting clean. We figured it was more important that they be out in the district doing that. But I am joined by Mark Grady. Mark is the Ritenour supervisor for custodial services. And then I'm also joined by Patrick Allen, and he is the director of operations for HES. And I just wanted to give them a second to kind of introduce themselves.
First, my name is Mark Grady. I'm custodial supervisor for the district. I have been with the district for 15 years. And over the 15 years, I have come to realize this is a great place to work. It's a big family, and I enjoy working here. I enjoy working with my team on problem solving, on the day-to-day operation of the department. The thing about our team is we have great communication. We communicate well. We understand what's needed in the buildings, and we have a great follow-through. And we take information to our team to make sure that concerns get resolved day to day. And Patrick and I, we communicate 3 or 4 times a day to make sure that anything falls through the gaps. One more thing too, events. I enjoy the events that we have. It's always something different every day. We got a lot of moving parts for the setup, breakdowns, Christmas parties, basketball games, football games. I just love the department. Won't work anywhere else. Enjoy my job.
So me. How y'all doing again? I'm Patrick. I'm the director of operations of HES. So I assist with Mike Smith mostly on our everyday operations. I've been in the district for about a year now. Like Mark said, I am enjoying myself out here. Meet some cool people. Before I came here, I was a custodial manager at General Motors in Winsfield. It's a little different, a little more hostile. So, but yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, no problem.
So, you know, I would not be able to do what I do without these guys. I rely on them heavily, day in, day out. I'm in communication with them throughout every single day. They probably wish I wasn't so much, but I'm always relying on them to do the great work that they do. Fred, this doesn't seem to be working right now. Was this working for you guys earlier?
Where's the clicker?
See it?
It's not
It's
even
not-
plugged in.
I'm getting-
Oh, no, I'm good. We'll just look up here. Okay, so of course, clean facilities are important as they enhance the supportive environment needed for teaching and learning. And resources are allocated so every student gets what they need. Students need clean and safe facilities in order to ensure a great educational experience in Ritenour. We joined a partnership with HES, which was formerly WFF in 2017. After the original 3-year agreement, we've had a series of 1-year extensions with HES, formerly WFF. Currently, WFF or HES has 57 employees that serve our district, and they are responsible for general cleaning, event setups and tear downs, special projects, and other duties as we need. We are constantly looking to improve service, both as Ritenour and HES custodians. We have seen improvement in service. For instance, Ritenour staff that were very critical last year of cleaning in the buildings have commented that they have seen improvement. Also, in 2022, the Board of Education committed to an hourly wage of $15 an hour for custodians. That has resulted in Ritenour and HES being fully staffed, and actually right now, HES is overstaffed. And their starting rate is $15.34. So they're not just staying right at the minimum, they're doing what they need to do in order to keep their employees happy as well. Yeah, it looks like we lost her. We also continue to be committed to professional development and employee satisfaction in order to improve custodial service. We believe that employees that are trained well and retrained are happier because they are more confident in the job that they do. But we also want to make sure that they feel supported, and we want to make sure that they feel rewarded for the great job that they do. Because we do know that it's a very thankless job in a lot of ways. It's a very hard job. And all in all, it's not the best paid job in the world, so we want to make sure that job satisfaction is high. And then, of course, there was a change in HES leadership about a year ago. I think things were improving, but since Patrick has come on board, as well as our Ms. Coulter, the evening supervisor, I believe that we've seen even more growth. Last year, the Board of Education approved an evening supervisor for Ritenour. So having that in place and then having the evening supervisor for HES, we believe that accountability has also improved. A few other things about the agreement. In January of 2023, there was a union increase. HES did not increase the cost of service to Ritenour when that union increase came about. Same thing with this last January. There was another union increase, and that increased cost did not reflect on the cost to Ritenour. And then, as I said before, HES is currently overstaffed, and they're not increasing our cost for being overstaffed either.
So when you say overstaffed, Mike, can you explain what that is?
Sure. So we have a certain number of custodians that we that are assigned to each building from HES as cleaners. And so all of those positions are currently staffed that are supposed to be in place, plus an extra number of employees. This last week it was +2. Of course, we do have, attrition. We did lose one last week. Sometimes they're invited to leave. Sometimes they leave on their own. But we have been over the past year fully staffed, and often overstaffed. HES has proposed a one-year extension for this next school year. That would be an increase of 5%. Last year's increase was 6.5%, which was a total increase of $11,209 last year. This year, if approved, it would be a 5% increase, which would be an increase of $9,183 per month. With the new monthly billing being $192,846, the annual cost to Ritenour for HES services would be $2,314,152. And I'll be recommending next month in April that the board accept the one-year extension for HES through the 2024-2025 school year. And we're more than happy to answer questions.
Would then the employees get another raise, would that be in January?
Yes, well, the employees are union, so the union negotiate their raises. So usually every year they get an increase.
When we say we're overstaffed, what causes that? We just have substitutes to come in? I mean, overstaffed, to me, it's like 10, 20, 30 in this one.
Oh, no. But an extra few, because there are call-offs.
Right.
You know, there are HES custodians that call off in the evening, there are Ritenour custodians that call off in the evening, and so having extra people on hand to relieve some of that heartache is important, so it all doesn't fall on the people who are coming to work, you know, and then they have to pick up additional cleaning responsibilities in order to make sure that the building is clean for the morning. It makes it really tough. So, but no, it's not that many, but it's a few extra people.
And I think that was one of the strategies that was discussed last summer when those conversations were held about, you know, we have staff that call off, how are we going to accommodate and be able to continue to meet the cleaning needs, so.
Yes,
I look at it as a positive in that space, because we were talking about, do we need to seek out, is there some type of
Secondary option.
Yeah, secondary option, so it's good to hear that they've been able to kind of take that on in-house.
Okay.
And it sounds like there's been positive feedback from staff and students about the cleanliness of the building.
That is correct. And I've said before, and I always, you know, follow up, you know, we always have things to work on. We always have things to follow up on. But we do feel like the service is improved.
And board members, we were hearing a lot from Ritenour High School last year, so we remember very well in May, you know, respected staff members, you know, challenged us to get better. We do hear issues from time to time, but I would say the issues, when we do hear about them, it has not been about Ritenour High School. We've had a couple of challenges lately at the school for early childhood, very aware of the challenges at the school for early childhood. And there for a bit of time, you know, it was a Ritenour thing or an HES thing. Now I think the staff has done a good job with Patrick and Mark's leadership of, it's not an us and them, you know, it's a we kind of a piece, because those challenges that are happening at the SEC right now, though not repeated, when we hear about them, you know, we act on them. We were there for a period of, there was just a real trend at Ritenour High School. There was a real focus on Ritenour High School, and there for a while, you know, I was getting tired of hearing about Ritenour High School. So, you know, challenged Mike and Mark and the team, and they've stepped up, so you're much appreciated.
Right, thank you.
Any questions?
Awesome, sounds like we're on a good roll.
Yes. Jennifer, I saw you leaning across the aisle.
I asked Hope what she thought.
Okay.
It's better than last year. There's always room for improvement, but that's more of a kids are disgusting than you guys. And thank you for working so hard. I've seen how late and how messy football games have gotten and stuff, and thank you guys for cleaning up after us.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
still say that we need to teach children how to clean up after themselves.
We agree.
So,
That's in the works. Sounds like we might need some of the SSD students.
right,
Right.
right.
Some of their programming.
Some of their programming.
And they can teach everybody else.
Yes.
Most definitely. Appreciate all the work and commitment.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you all.
Mike, I don't think you go far.
I'm gonna talk to you early.
Stacy's gone again.
Is it to our connection? We will move on to 3.2, our construction update. Mr. Michael Smith.
After I'm finished with my presentation, as the next person comes up, I'm going to get this all hooked up and get this video screen going. But I can do mine first. So. All right, so for the construction update, of course, our facilities and buildings are important in order to reach the mission and vision.
Did your face come back?
Resources are allocated so students get what they need, and what they need are safe facilities to ensure a great educational experience. I feel really, really bad not making eye contact. I'm sorry.
We're
Nope,
good.
you're good.
Keep going.
So we will be discussing secure entrances at Booter, Marvin, and Hape, some HVAC upgrades throughout the district, and playground fencing improvements. So first, for security entrance, the update on that. That was part of Proposition S planning. What we have committed to do is making our main entrances safer so that there is a stop between the exterior door and people getting into the building. We wanted to make sure that there was a secure vestibule in place. We've added secure vestibules at the middle school, Ritenour Middle, Marion, and Wyland. This summer, the Board of Education has already approved work to be done at the high school, Kratz, and the Administrative Center. Work at the Administrative Center is actually beginning next week.
That's why everything.
It kind of looks like it already got started.
We just moved some things around, so, yeah. And there are some pictures of completed secure entryways at Marion, Wyland, and Ritenour Middle. At Booter, we will be adding a secure vestibule on the exterior of the building at the front entrance. In order to do that, we're going to expand the front patio and stairs and add an accessible ramp to that secure vestibule. People will be buzzed directly into the office from the outside. And there's also going to be some renovation to the inside of the building. I forgot to mention last week that, as you know, this area here, there's a stairway leading from the upper level down to the lower parking lot. There's a set of stairs there, a wall that's in really, really bad shape. That is also going to be repaired and rebuilt as part of this project.
Very nice.
And then we're also going to add a door at that lower parking lot. This is going to be a door leading straight into the cafeteria as a safe way for us to load materials into the cafeteria. Any questions about Booter? At Marvin, we are going to add, this is the main entrance, here's a secure vestibule. The main office is being moved to the current library. Current library is going to, there's be a new one constructed in the current old gym. This area here, which is the current office, there'll be some renovation in that space. As for the new office, we'll have the office professional. This wall will be completely glass so they can see through. They can be able to see who's in the secure vestibule, be able to buzz them into the building and then buzz them into the office. And then you can see there's new offices for the principals and counselors in that space. And then also in the old gym, we are going to be converting that into a new library. We will be reusing current shelving and tables from the current library in order to save on some cost. All of that is still in really good shape, and it will work well in this new space. At Hake, we're going to be renovating 2 classrooms to make them more student-friendly and more usable for teachers. And then I'll talk about 1, 2, 3, 4 other areas. First is the main entrance. Current main entrance is here. There'll be a vestibule where people can be rung into the main hallway. Here's the entrance to the office. The office professional here will be able to see people as they enter the vestibule. As what is currently a block wall, this will be glass. New principal's office, and there'll be a small office or conference room in that space as well. Just to the other side of the nurse's office, what is currently the assistant principal's offices is going to become a counseling suite, student services suite, adding an office, expanding a couple of more, adding 2 small offices as well. The current office is going to mainly remain as it is. We are going to be putting in new flooring, and then we'll be adding a small office there as well. And finally, there's a part of the teacher's lounge, the faculty lounge. It's at the far end that's rarely used, so we're going to divide that off, and that will become the new office for the SRO. It's a very large scope of work, and so we believe that Amoresco, who is our performance contractor, should manage that project. And per our direction, Amoresco will use Wachter as the general contractor. Amoresco would be responsible for the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing projects. Wachter would be responsible for all of the construction. It will be necessary for contractors to work overtime in order to make this happen in time for staff to return in August. I said before that this work is highly, highly extensive. The work that's required took a lot of planning and engineering. It was all very, very difficult, which was why it was the last one that we're bringing to you. But we're confident that Amoresco and Wachter will do excellent work, and they will meet our deadlines. Amoresco produced a total cost of $3,518,817 for the construction of this project. And therefore, I am recommending that the board accept that bid from Amoresco for secure entryways and related renovations at Booter, Marvin, and Hayden High School. And I'm happy to answer questions.
All part of process.
It's all process, isn't it?
Board members, the question was asked last week about potential student involvement, student learning connected to this. Working with Mike and Dwight to have a representative from Amoresco at the meeting in April to talk about what that could look like. Also reconnecting with CCDI. The CCDI was an initiative that was started during Forward Through Ferguson work. We've had some students participate in the program, but we've got a couple of contacts within CCDI that we're going to be inviting to talk about Ritenour involvement in paths to construction careers, the successes that we've had, and then the opportunities that we have to get more kids involved, and just what the data looks like there.
If this project at Hake is going to involve about overtime or working past the normal schedule, and I bring this up because with the work that we're doing right now with windows up there, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. I don't know what the different municipalities like St. Anne is for as far as construction work and noise and things like that. Something you might want to check on so that someone doesn't knock on your door and say you can't do that at this time.
Right, yeah. I will ask about that. The good thing about especially HAPE is that all of the work is indoors. You know, there's some work on the outside, you know, the front door, but the remainder of the work will be inside, but I'll check on that.
But you got people that have to go outside to their vehicles and get things and everything.
It's true.
Just want to make sure that we're in compliance with the municipalities that we're working in.
But also make sure the community knows so that they don't just think these random people are going in and out of the school buildings too.
That's right.
But our signs are.
Well, you know,
All this money at work.
Yep.
that's right. I mean, putting up a sign saying, you know, your bond issued money is at work here.
To back that up, so we're replacing the windows at Hake right now. And, you know, I was talking to the principal, you know, he's like, well, shouldn't we not do the work during conferences? I'm like, no, we should absolutely be doing that work during conferences. We want people to see what's going on in the school, you know, so, yeah, we continue progress as normal.
But with that, I was going home from work Monday at 9:30. I see all this activity in front of the building. I told them, I said, what's going on? We had one classroom had no windows in it. Two big holes in the classroom with guys on the outside and inside putting these windows up. I was like, this is awesome. And I haven't been to Ritenour Middle. He says it's done. I got to go over and see it. But it sounds like Ritenour Middle is awesome. The windows going in at Hake are tinted and look great. I can't wait to see them all being done. Madam President, I would like to recommend that the Board of Education accept the bid from Amoresco for $3,518,817 for the secure entryway and related renovations at Booter, Marvin, and Meade.
Second.
Mrs. Lotus?
Yes.
Dr. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Alvin Wilson?
Absolutely yes.
And I will vote yes.
Thank you.
And some HVAC upgrades in the district. We have 5 buildings that are in need of different HVAC improvements. Boilers at 5 different schools, DOAS or dedicated outside air system replacement at 2 schools, and then a rooftop unit replacement at Booter and Hake. The boilers at Booter, Kratz, Weiland, Hake, and at the high school, they're in need of replacement. The elementary school boilers are 25 years old. The secondary schools, those are 22 years old. And then, of course, replacing those old boilers, we know that that's going to provide a major energy cost savings due to the high efficiency of the new units.
Mike,
yes.
as we replace boilers, are we replacing the support equipment that comes with it, or is it just the boilers themselves?
Just the boilers themselves. So when you say support equipment, or you mean the piping?
Pumps,
because
controls, motors that drive the pumps, things like that.
No, we're not replacing the pumps. So that's separate. So we have the boilers, and then over here we have the pumps. So we're not replacing the pumps yet. The pumps in the different buildings are at different lives. You know, this one's new, this one's old. Pumps right now are readily available. You know, we have so many different types of pumps that it's impossible for us to get something to have on hand because you never know which one's going to go down. Right? You know, so but pumps are not our concern right now. It's the boilers. We know that this is the biggest bang for our buck.
Okay.
The elementary schools in Hake have 8 boilers each to be replaced, and there's 1 boiler at the high school. Now there is another boiler room at the high school. We are not replacing the boilers there yet. We are developing a plan for replacement there. We would like to replace those eventually. Right now is just not the time. But we're going to use the parts from those old boilers as spare parts for the kitchen boilers that will eventually be replaced. Maybe we'll be able to get to it sooner than expected, but that can't happen now. Any questions about, other questions about boilers? DOAS, Dedicated Outside Air Systems, they are part of the VRV or Variant Refrigerant Volume systems that are in place at several of our schools. They support that by supplying fresh air into the building and then also support the VRV system during cold weather. We've had trouble with the DOAS units, and as you know, we lost instructional time at early childhood this past winter due to malfunction of the DOAS unit. And so therefore we're looking to replace the DOAS at early childhood and at Marion.
Iowa.
Yes, Iowa. Iowa. And then finally, rooftop units. Booter has a 31-year-old rooftop unit. Hake has a 30-year rooftop unit, and we're looking to replace those as well. Those are the highest priority. There are more RTUs that we'd like to replace eventually. We're just trying to be real smart about the priority as we replace them. So a total of 1 DOAS unit at early childhood, Booter, 8 boilers and 1 RTU. Ireland, 1 DOAS unit, Kratz, 8 boilers, Weiland, 8 boilers, Hake, boilers and a rooftop, and then 1 boiler at the high school. Amoresco has quoted $2,112,226, and I'm recommending that the board accept that for HVAC upgrades in the district.
So,
Happy to
question
answer
for
more
you,
questions.
real quick.
Yes.
So, you did mention that there are some that, not right now, maybe later, that kind of thing. Are those priced into Prop S stuff, or is it, we're at the bottom of the money that was set aside for these and?
We
we'll
want to
have
make
see if
sure
there's
that
anything left
we
over?
want to make sure that we keep our promise of the different things we said we were going to hit.
Okay.
So we never said we were replacing all of the RTUs.
Okay.
But we did say that we were going to make improvements to the HVAC systems at the different schools.
Okay.
And so this is going to fulfill the promise of making, I mean, we've done a lot of HVAC work
Yes.
over the past few years. But this is going to further that cause. It's also going to get rid of the oldest units, the ones that are most likely to break down and cause disruption to learning. And then, we have a list, and the next one on the list, when that money's available, we're going to go ahead and do that. But we want to make sure that we get the painting done, we get the bus canopies completed, so there's other Prop S projects that we want to make sure we get.
Okay, so the ones that you're referring to as extra were not a part of that original piece. They are like, probably in about 5 years, this one's gonna go out, kind of thing.
Yes.
Which is good, because you should kind of rotate everything in instead of all at once, because then if you do everything all at once, then you have to replace all at once too, which is a big expense.
And we are getting, to your question, Jennifer, we are getting down towards the end of our Prop S funding, but we've been able to cover HVAC through ESSER funding as well, and have actually done more
Right.
HVAC work than was originally planned, because we have that additional federal money.
And then every year with my budget, I plan something's going to go down. I know that repairs and maintenance can always cover something as well. Other questions?
Madam President, I have moved that we accept the recommendation and approve the quote of $2,112,226 for the HVAC upgrades as before mentioned.
Second?
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Alvin Wilson?
Yes.
And I will vote yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Well, I got one more for you,
One
Brad.
more.
Yes.
Playground fencing. We secured a $300,000 safety grant through Missouri. And one of the planned projects for that is to enclose all playground fencing to prevent unapproved visitors and also to prevent students from leaving the property during recess. Marvin is currently the only school that has an enclosed playground at this time. Amoresco has agreed to do that work for $130,000. And that would include chain link fencing and gates where needed. And therefore, I'm recommending that the board accept the bid of $130,000 for Amoresco to install playground fencing at 5 elementary schools as part of that Missouri safety grant.
So this is like the perimeter, right?
Correct.
So we have to walk the perimeter and make sure that there's no fences pulled up, and no way to crawl under. Right?
Correct. Yeah. So in Marvin, you know, I was at Marvin for a long time, you know, so we had fencing there. And from time to time, you would see something lifted up, and so a work order would be placed and then that would be repaired. So it would be the responsibility of the school to let us know when something's damaged.
Okay, and then with some of the gates, I mean, as parents come and go from the parking lot, we got to make sure that this is the time the gates are open and closed, things like that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Brett.
The gates, like at Marion, they would have to have double gates at the one end so they could come in off of
No,
Elizabeth.
the fencing would go right around the playground.
Correct.
Because they're
Just around the playground.
just around the playground. And so the gates would be just to the playground.
At that school. Every school has a different
Right.
plan.
Yes.
But for Marion specifically, Jennifer's perfectly correct. You know, that it's just
I
the
know she's
playground.
perfectly correct. She knows that all.
It's just a playground that will be enclosed.
Okay.
You know, so other schools will have some parking lots enclosed, but they are now. You know, so Wyland, for instance, they gate that off, but it's just a bar going across. A bar isn't as secure as chain link. So.
So the other question I have is, when we talk about enclosing the playground, are we talking about the equipment, or are we talking about the equipment and the grassy area as well? Because I think about like kids, they run around the playground and then they run over to the grass, the extra grass area. So what does this visual look like?
Yeah, we're trying to do as big of an area as possible. So for instance, an example of that would be Kratz. Kratz has a very, very large area, but it's actually fairly easy to close off. So we're going to run the fence along the brand new parking lot on the north end. So that would close it off, and students are never around that far anyway, but that would be closed off. Then we have the existing fencing around the remainder of the playground, and then we're just gating the other side, the south end.
So the blacktop would be included in stuff too?
So all of their existing playground would be enclosed. We wouldn't be taking any of their playgrounds.
So that gated Kratz would run all the way across to the parking lot.
Correct.
Along the parking lot and then up to the building with gates.
That's correct.
And it would run into those chain link fences that are the backyards of those houses that are on the south end.
That's right.
Well, let's see how it looks. Madam President, I move that we accept the bid of $130,000 from Amoresco to install playground fencing at the 5 elementary schools as part of our Missouri safety grant.
Second.
Dr. Alvin Wilson?
Yes.
Dr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Wallace?
Yes.
And I will vote yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, if I may, with us having 3 of our members not with us tonight and wanting to hear their voices as well in this selection process, I would move that we would table until April. The student representative selection.
Second.
First and a second. Dr. Allen Wilson?
Yes.
Mrs. Lomas?
Yes.
Dr. Thomas?
Yes.
And I will vote yes as well. Thank you all.
Is somebody going to reach out to the candidates just to let them know that we've tabled it? So that way they're not like, I'm going to.
Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to be notified until April.
Okay.
It was April.
What did you say? Hope, I'm sorry. I missed
I
that.
thought I would get notified in April when I got applied, so, but I would tell them, so they might not be expecting it to, like, right now.
We will most definitely do that. We will move on to 3.4, our technology update. Dr. Fred?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Fred.
Thank you for your time tonight to present these proposals to you. Following the vision of the district, the technology department works to provide the digital environment required to foster the leadership and academic excellence of our graduates. And in light of the mission, problem-solving 21st century skills are enhanced by a command of technology imparted to our students by our faculty, and all, including products and services, supported by our technology team. Following on from our equity statement, the tech department works to ensure that our student devices are well managed and available as needed for every student. Moreover, in its service to the district, the department treats all with respect and dignity and works with our RSD colleagues in support of our vision, mission, and our equity statement. High-speed copiers. The district's 5-year high-speed copier contract expires in June 30th, 2024. With that in mind, a request for proposals was sent out to 4 area vendors who have maintained communication with us and expressed an interest in pursuing that opportunity. The proposals were due February 1st, and we received 4 bids from 3 vendors. And the scope of work includes replacing the district's 39 high-speed copiers in all district buildings. That work will begin on July 1st. The proposals, the request for proposals outlined the requirements, including scanning, faxing, and volume printing. And we offered to provide a school tour to the vendors, as well as providing them with the specs of our current fleet of copiers. We formed a review committee consisting of myself, another member of the technology department, the district graphic artist, and 3 office professionals. We reviewed the submitted proposals from the vendors, ranking them by cost, quality of service, and quality of equipment. And then the costs of the proposals that we received are listed here. And you can see that GFI Digital's cost at $10,474.15 monthly was the highest, followed by Marco, and then Sumner One, our current supplier vendor, is the company that submitted 2 bids. And there's a slight difference in monthly cost of theirs based on the expense of the equipment. The more expensive bid includes the Kyocera printers, which are faster and of a higher quality than the Konica that we have When the committee met and spoke, we agreed unanimously on the Sumner 1 bid 2. This is both competitive in cost, and we favor Sumner 1 because of the excellent service we've grown accustomed to over the years working with them. So that cost to the district at $9,033.10 also includes low overage charges. We discussed those last week. While this is slightly more expensive than our current Sumner 1 contract, we are paying now for 39 and not 38 copiers. And this does include a slightly better model, more expensive model. So it is my recommendation for your approval, that copier, my recommendation and the committee's recommendation, that we accept Sumner 1's bid 2 for a 5-year contract and lease proposal at a cost of $9,033.10 monthly for 39 new district copiers to be installed this summer 2024 with your approval. Questions?
Sounds like this is going to be a very busy summer, Fred.
This is just the start. Yes, it will be.
Well then, Madam President, I would like to move that we accept the Sumner 1's bid 2 for 5-year contract and lease proposal at a cost of $9,033.10 monthly for 39 brand new district copiers to be installed this summer 2024.
Second.
Mrs. Wallace?
Yes.
Dr. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Alvin Wilson?
Yes.
And I will vote yes.
Thank you.
Next on the list is the E-rate Category 1. A request for proposals in a Form 470 posted to the USAC portal in December of 23 to seek a new 3-year wide area network contract and to find a contract, renew our contract for support for the North Athletic Complex at 8775 St. Charles Rock Road. The WAN wide area network is is what ties our buildings together, facilitates data transmission, supports remote access, centralized management, and facilitates collaboration, among other things, providing internet connectivity. Let's not forget that. So it's of extreme importance to us. And then additionally, under Category 1, we're able to get a discount for tying the North Athletic Complex into our network. So this work, with your approval, will begin on July 1 or soon thereafter is technically possible. The WAN contract we posted this year because our 7-year contract with Charter expires at the end of June. And so we posted to USAC to seek bids for this service. We did receive bids from Charter Spectrum, from AT&T, from Citranet, and from FatBeam. We requested high-speed connectivity similar to what we have, but with the ability to expand our throughput as needed. We did this because of the expiration of contract, not because of any unhappiness with the service from Charter Spectrum. That has been reliable and stable. And the same is true of the service we've received from AT&T on the circuit we have between the North Athletic Complex today and our district network. The proposal costs for the 3-year WAN are listed here. These are costs after the 90% E-rate discount. And as you can see from this, Charter provided us with the most competitive, least expensive bid at $1,100 monthly. That's after the after the 90% discount. The AT&T was not able to meet our specs for the throughput, and so they were not in play. Citronet, you can see, is slightly more expensive, and so too is the service proposed by FatBeam. And a key consideration is that Charter Spectrum has been an excellent partner for us all these years. We're just ending a 7-year contract with them. And they've made it clear to me that we are a priority customer, and they're working hard to retain our business. AT&T, as I mentioned earlier, provides already service to the North Athletic Complex, and that has been stable and reliable. And so the bid, and there was only one for North Athletic, was from AT&T. So the business impact of these two items, the Charter Spectrum 3-year contract for WAN and AT&T's, are both within budget, within the current technology budget. And so my recommendation is, pending E-rate approval, that we contract with Charter Spectrum for a new 3-year WAN from July 1 of 2024 to June 30th of 2027, and with AT&T for a 1-year contract to support the North Athletic Complex from July 1 of this year, 24, to June 30th of next year, 25. Any questions?
Yeah, what he said.
You want me to read it?
Go ahead.
Okay. Pending E-rate, I'd like to recommend to the board, pending E-rate approval, it's recommended that we contract with CX Tech.
No,
Nope,
it's
that's
the
the
one.
wrong one.
It's the one.
I'm like, wait a minute, that's the wrong one. Recommended that we contract with Charter Spectrum for a new 3-year WAN from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2027. Where's
And
the
then
AT&T?
AT&T,
And the AT&T for $5 per month for the next year, from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025.
see, when you don't give us something to read, Fred, we're all messed up.
No, he had it on, right on his. That's not on the doc, right? So I motion.
Second.
Dr. Alvin Wilson,
Yes.
Mrs. Lomas,
Yes.
Dr. Thomas,
Yes, ma'am.
and I will vote yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to Category 2. As with Category 1, we posted requests for proposals, Form 470, to USAC in December of '23 to seek a new wireless access points, 120, UPSs, 8 in total, and firewall support. And with board approval, this work will begin on July 1 of 2024, or soon thereafter as feasible. The district data network consists today of 551 Cisco access points. About 100 of those need to be replaced because they're approaching end of life. An additional 20 are needed to give us better coverage in particular areas. So that explains the reason for requesting 120. We have 8 UPSs right now in the district that are not providing the failover power we need. So we are looking to replace those with 8 new ones. And our firewall support provided through this E-rate program, managed internal broadband support, is less expensive after discount than it would be for us to manage the firewall without this contract. Without this contract, for example, we would have to pay for licensing annually at $47,798. And that does not include any kind of external consulting we might require on the firewall. With the program described here, MIDS and provided by Provision Data Solutions. We not only do we get the licensing far cheaper, but we also have their expertise available to us as needed. So let me show you cost. So provisions, after the 85% Category 2 E-rate discount is $13,991.10. The price of our preferred UPSs from Worldwide Technology will total $2,125.04. This again is after the 85% discount. And the wireless access points will cost for 120 wireless access points after the discount only $3,132 thanks to E-rate. CX Tech, Worldwide Technology, and Provision Data Solutions are all companies that we currently work with. We've been working with CX Tech for a number of years, Worldwide Technology over the last 2 or 3 years, and Provision Data Solutions. They currently hold the contract for firewall support, and they are providing us with the services we need. So I'm confident and happy that all 3 of these companies have an interest in continuing to work with us, and we are in the technology department happy to continue to work with them. The business impact of these purchases, this is within budget and allows us to continue the work to improve our network with the access points and the UPSs, and again to have the firewall support we require through this contract and with these discounts. So my recommendation for your approval is that pending E-rate approval, we contract with CX Tech to purchase 120 Cisco access points, with Worldwide Technology to purchase 8 APC UPSs, and with Provision Data Solutions for managed firewall support from July 1, 2024 to June 30th of 2025.
That's a good question. So you said that we're replacing 100, we're adding on 20, and we have 551 currently.
Right.
Like, how often do we have to replace them, and are they, like when's the next time that we're going to have to do this also?
Well, as with most hardware, they come with a limited lifetime.
Yeah.
And so the manufacturer will indicate when that time is approaching. How long a piece of equipment will last might depend on the type of equipment. The access points we have are generally good for 6 or 7 years.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay.
And these, we have a large number of a model right now that will begin to expire over the next, probably in the next 3 or 4 years. So we'll be looking to replace them probably then.
Okay.
And certainly we'll use E-rate to help us do that, I imagine.
Thanks. I was just wondering, when's the next big blow up?
Every component on our network, the switches, the access points, and the firewall and the controller, everything has to be replaced eventually.
Right.
I think next in line will be the firewall, and that's going to happen pretty soon, I believe. And the controller will probably be after that. And this is based on end of life that we're alerted to by the vendor in case the firewall is forwarding it. So we'll have to address that problem next year, I think, or the year after, at least.
Okay. All right. I'd like to make a recommendation that we contract with CX Tech to purchase 120 Cisco access points, and with WWT to purchase 8 APC UPSs, and with Provision DS for managed firewall support from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025.
Second.
Dr. Alvin Wilson?
Yes.
Dr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Wallace?
Yes.
And I will vote yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fred.
Summer got a lot busier, Fred.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot to do this summer. Thank you.
Thank you. We will move on to 3.25, the second reading of policy, draft policy ADF. Sorry.
So board members, this is the second reading and approval of policy ADF. We came to you at the last business meeting. So the reason for this adoption of a whole new policy, ADF, it was under IGAP, which is MSBA coding has changed. So our district wellness program needs its own separate standalone policy, and that is ADF. The intro is that the board recognizes the relationship between student well-being and student achievement, as well as the importance of comprehensive district wellness program. The district will provide developmentally appropriate and sequential nutrition and physical education, as well as opportunities for physical activity. Wellness program will be implemented in a multidisciplinary fashion and will be evidence-based. Board members, this policy also outlines the specific makeup of the district wellness committee. The district wellness committee is under the leadership of Charles Love. That committee must consist of at least one parent, one student, nurse, or other school health professional, physical education teacher, school food service representative, a board member, a school administrator, a member of the public, and other community members as appropriate. Currently, board members, we have a wellness committee, but the makeup is not clearly outlined as it is in policy ADF. Also, this policy outlines that the wellness program will be assessed at least once every 3 years. The assessment will measure the district's level of compliance with implementing local wellness programs, including compliance levels in each of the district's schools. Board members, we established SHACs through a grant, school health advisory committees through a grant. Those SHACs do continue, and they roll up underneath the district wellness committee under Charles Love. So policy ADF for second reading, and your approval is my recommendation.
Madam President, I move that we approve policy ADF as presented to the Board of Education this evening.
Second?
Mrs. Wallace?
Yes.
Dr. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Alvin Wilson?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. Thank you. We will move on to 3.6, personnel recommendations. Dr. Michael Chance.
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
Here to present personnel items 1 through 74. Open to any questions or comments you may have, and ultimately asking for your approval.
On number 13, that position, does it require a certain certification for that course, and do we have someone that has that certification?
We don't. We posted to refill that position, a business education certification with Career and Tech Ed. We've also posted for Family and Consumer Science, because that certification can also fulfill the coursework that the person teaches, which is primarily personal finance.
So let's say by chance we don't find someone that has that certification, how will that impact those courses at our high school level?
We've already identified at least one other person at the high school who has that certification but is not currently teaching that coursework, and ultimately we would have a conversation with that person about changing the coursework that they teach and then filling their position.
Of the first category that we list here, were there any notable things that stuck out?
I think the most notable this year, and this is, typically we have our biggest group in that first category the month after we've issued contracts. The biggest notable piece this year were the number of people that really had no plans, just wanted to pursue other things, and really wasn't sure what that would be yet, but wanted to pursue other things.
At pursuing other opportunities, Mike, is it true then that those people, they're not necessarily leaving the Ritenour School District for another position in another district?
Correct.
Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, this year more than any other year, this is my 4th year in the position, more than any other year, just didn't have an answer, didn't have a response, wasn't sure if they were going to go to another district or go to leave education and go into the business sector. Just weren't sure and wanted to pursue other options out there. That was one thing that stuck out this year more than any other year.
Board members also, those staff members that were on targeted plans, generally those people are on the separation list at this point as well. Can you speak on that, Mike?
Correct. So we had a number of staff members who were on plans for improvement, and some of them were not able to make the needed improvements and opted to resign. Some of them chose, at least one of them chose to resign because they didn't want to make the efforts to make the improvements. Just say, I don't want to pursue that. So that was somewhat new also. Yeah.
A question, I just lost it. I had a question on here. Oh, where, with what you've added, the people that we've added, where do we stand as far as like, what do we have left to do?
Good question. So right now we're actively trying to fill 4 more elementary positions. We had interviews and some fantastic interviews just today. Initial screening interviews, some fantastic candidates. We actually did not want to leave to go down in the basement, as Mike was instructing us to, with the tornado weather. The candidate was so strong. We had some great candidates that we will follow up with shortly. We actually had interviews going on at elementary schools this week as well. We have 3 more classroom teachers at Hake Middle School to fill. I actually have the recommendations. I just have to follow up with another interview with them tomorrow. So we're working on filling them, and we have 5 Ritenour High School classroom teachers to fill. And Dr. Green has recommendations for me that he's sending me tomorrow for several of them, and I'll be following up with interviews with them tomorrow. We also have a grant-funded position that Ms. Hahn is working to fill, and she's identified the candidate. We're just working through some final details and hope to bring that candidate back in April. We have based on some school improvement funds, someone identified for Hake Middle School. They are intending to add a specific academic coach to Hake Middle School. They've identified the person, had several rounds of interviews. I've interviewed the person. They are also in another interview process with another school district. So we're in conversation with them. They actually are going to come back after spring break and want to spend the day with us at Hake Middle School before they make a decision. We are, I think that's the lion's share of it.
So Mike, another change that you would see this year, the idea that an employee or potential candidate would want to come and spend a day with us before they make their decision. Can you speak on how that's the same or different?
Yeah, that we're seeing much, and I believe that's due to simple supply and demand. The really high quality candidates, before they make a decision, they more than anything want to spend a day at the school, and they're taking a day off wherever they're at, and they're spending a day with us. In fact, Dr. Green has given many tours of Ritenour High School and has spent time with candidates throughout the high school at various parts of the day. I should have mentioned too, we still are on track to fill. We have 3 elementary assistant principal positions and high school assistant principal position that we're on track for April as well. That is also a new phenomenon where people they want to spend more time at the school before they accept. And in most cases, they're having a screening interview with me and principals. They're having an interview with teacher groups and a sample lesson, providing a sample lesson, and then I always have some follow-up questions based on sometimes some feedback from the principal that I follow up with them later, kind of review more in depth their resume, go through things like that. And I've also seen a trend in applicants who have experience as instructional coaches in other districts, which I think is interesting. I think there are some districts making some movements based on teacher shortages, and perhaps those positions are no longer going to be available, so they're seeking other opportunities as well. So.
Thank you. No, I was saying thank you.
I was gonna say, I'm actually glad to hear more about the shadowing, because I think that does make a difference when people can kind of see the environment. Like everybody's like, oh yes, this is what I want, but sometimes when they see the environment, they're like, oh, well, maybe, you know. Not that there's anything wrong with our environment, but just people are not always aware of what they're saying that they want in those spaces. So I appreciate that work being done.
Yeah, one other thing, do we have a partnership with like Missouri Baptist? The reason I say is we went and did a visit there for personal reasons. And I was talking to their Dean of Education, and they actually say that after kids get through their gen ed, the first thing they do when they're starting on their path is they start putting, they put kids in classrooms immediately in school districts so that they're getting exposure to it. So right then and there, they can make a decision. Is this really truly the path I want to be on, or is it not? And so I didn't know if we had. Okay.
Yeah, we do, we have, typically they're sending their candidates to Ritenour High School. Sometimes some of the elementary and middle, but mainly Ritenour High School is one of the places they send their practicum students to and their student teachers to. They have a requirement at Missouri Baptist that their students must have an experience in a diverse setting. And so they seek out Ritenour particularly for that practicum experience, and then many of their students after that request to specifically student teach with us. And we have, a Ritenour grad who is actually working with Missouri Baptist, who is actually our Stepping Up to Teaching award recipient this year, that has worked with them and is at Ritenour High School teaching science right now. So, yeah. Their placement, their person in charge of placing their students is a former HR person from Parkway School District. So he reaches out to me fairly regularly.
What's his name?
Bill, and I can't think of his last name. I can senior moment.
That's okay.
So,
thank you.
I'm sorry, I did have one other question. 43, I know that they probably have a long tenure of being a teacher, but there's extensive.
I'm glad you brought that up. I expected that question.
And my concern will be the position at that particular school, because even back when my kids went to school, we've had several people go through that school in that position. So did we have that conversation?
We've had that conversation and then matched the response that we got from the candidate with, we went back and really questioned supervisors as far back as we could, because people were retiring or no longer available. We got positive responses from every district we spoke to. And in some cases, you should know that early on, this person was very interested in seeking head wrestling coach position and was really pushing for a state championship wrestling team. Was really their goal. As they've gotten older, their goals have changed a bit, and so some of those movements were actually following an administrator who left one school and went to another district, and they followed them. When I got a hold of, for example, the last principal, that's exactly what he said, that person followed me from the last district, that they would recommend that person, that they were someone that was highly effective with students and is actually moving back to this area. So you can see some experience in this area, moving back to this area because their parents are reaching an age where they need to be closer to their parents. So in places where I couldn't reach the principal because the principal was retired, I was able to reach someone in the Human Resource Department who was able to give me very positive references and say that they would hire the person back. And in one case, the person was their teacher of the year for all of their secondary schools. So I will also tell you that this person's spouse is also interested in Ritenour and is in an interview process right now and has some similar movement and is a very strong candidate as well. And that person is being considered for an elementary position. So that level of movement is always a red flag, which causes us to dig a lot deeper. We're also required by state law to reach out to the last school district for a disclosure, and they've got to disclose if there's any record of inappropriate actions with the student, and they have to attest that they've done that with the prior district. So when we have concerns, we reach back to every single district as far back as we can. And at some point you get to districts that say we don't keep those records any longer. It's typically about 10 to 10 years back. They no longer hang on to those records. But we did our full diligence in as much as humanly possible in that effort, based on that same observation that you made. And had conversation at length with the principal, who felt really strongly with this candidate as well as the panel.
Madam President, I move that we approve recommendations 1 through 74 as presented.
Second.
Mrs. Wallace?
Yes.
Dr. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Alvin Wilson?
Yes.
And I will vote yes.
Thank you, board member.
Thank you, Mike.
We will move on to 3.7, board member comments.
Always got something to say, right?
Who?
Yes, it is Board of Education Board Member Recognition Month, as we've been told. We got a nice paper to go with it. But what we don't recommend is the people that sit here that support us. And without this group of people that are here, and the building principals and the assistant principals and everyone that's all this group that we have to support us, along with our superintendent, this job would be so much harder. And we all know that we can go home knowing that Ritenour and our students are taken care of. And yes, I want to thank you all for what you do for us to make this Board of Education. You make us look pretty good, just saying, you know? So thank you all very much, each and every one of you. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Just saying.
Factual.
I don't have anything else, just thanks for the pepper box. Is this the edition that you're in? All right, I gotta read it tonight.
Put it down.
Kaylin answered the question very nicely, and I answered it very bluntly. I was like, Kaylin, you should have told me how you were going to answer it.
We will move on to consent agenda items.
Madam President, I move that we approve consent agenda items 4.1 to 4.9.
Second?
Before I do call to vote, I just want to make a couple comments with the program evaluations. When we're looking at the areas of concern, please look at that. If you all have not thoroughly looked at that, there were some concerns brought up about additional language options being available due to some vacancies at our high school. Some concerns about diversifying our social studies curriculum and that limitation there, as well as some concerns about the classroom sizes at the alternative center, so transportation options. So I will call to vote. Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Alvin Wilson?
Yes.
And I will vote yes.
I'd like to make a motion that, oh, are you guys? okay.
Yes, I just didn't find it, 5.1.
Move into closed session per state statute 610.021.
Second?
Mrs. Lonis?
Yes.
Dr. Thomas?
Yes.
Dr. Alvin Wilson?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. We are now in closed session. We will take a 5-minute recess. 5 minutes.
No.